Swenson here with REL Freedom. You know, this episode of our REL Freedom Stories is going to be a little bit different. So recently we had an event called Freedom Con, and on there we had some wonderful guests that shared their stories and some of their tips and successes on their journey towards financial and time freedom. So this particular episode, we're going to pick up with Veronica Figueroa, and she's going to share more about her story as a real estate agent in Florida. Hope you enjoy it.
Oh, a woman that needs no introduction in many a circle. So it's Veronica. Veronica, are you here with us?
I am. Hello, everyone.
Veronica, I know that I will not do you justice in introducing you. And I know this slide is like, 1% of 1% of everything that you've accomplished in a short career. If you would not mind, just like put humility in your back pocket and just tell us who you are, like where you come from, and then just share with us your story, like we discussed.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Humility in your back pocket, please.
I'll start off with this and just say that it's an honor to be here and be able to share a little bit of my journey. And I always tell people, if I could do this, you can do it. All the odds were against me, 16 and pregnant, a young mother, divorced by the age of 24, and everything you could think could be the horror stories, right? Everything against me. But now that I look back, I am so grateful for everything I've gone through, because it helped shape, who I am today. And every single step of my personal life has been a part of my business growth journey. Just like many of you guys, my family is really my inspiration. When you're responsible for little human beings, you start thinking, like, wow, I have to care for them. And I love, hearing from Brian today, actually, because he's someone that I look up to and has helped shape the careers of a lot of people that I know. But, we're all doing this for either people we love, to gain freedom. And I started in real estate just part-time, thinking that I was going to supplement the bills. And I fell in love with it. And real estate has been a platform for me that has allowed me an opportunity to gain some freedom in my life. The first few years was a lot of work, a lot of grinding. But now I'm in a place where I can definitely say that I'm really enjoying what we're building. But I started off in real estate as a part-time agent, single mother at the time, and fell in love with it. Within 3 months, I quit my full-time job. I made $11,000, and all of a sudden I thought I was rich. And I didn't know, I didn't realize I wasn't rich. But what I did realize was that if I invested the time that I was investing in my business that I was doing in my 9-to-5, I could possibly expand on this and build and create a life that, could give me some flexibility for my children. And, real estate in 2005, it was raining opportunities. 2005, 2004, like it was like great, like we hit the real estate jackpot. And then of course the real estate market came from under us. It was stripped away from us in 2008 and 2009. And I knew at that moment I had to go all in. It was easy to be successful in an easy market. It was easy to be successful when things were just falling out the sky. You were tripping over commission checks. But I had made a promise to myself and to my family that I was going to be a success story in this industry, no matter what market. I wanted a recession-proof business. I wanted to build a team that was known as an expert, that I was the go-to. I wanted to be like people's doctors and dentists and, that professional that they just don't switch up on. So I started getting really, really intentional. I said, well, if the market is all short sales, I need to learn short sales. If the market is all bank-owned properties, I need to be the next best REO agent. And people would say to me, well, REOs only go to like the seasoned agents who have experience in REOs. Well, the last time that happened, that was in the 80s. So I was like, they're all, nearly dead, or like, they're played out. I feel like they need my spice. So who do I need to talk to? What's an asset manager? And I took my last $5,000, very, very last bit of money that I had when the market crashed. And I probably owed everyone because, you had to decide in 2008, did you pay your mortgage? Did you feed your family? What were you going to do? Just like many people who have been in the market for a while and can talk about 2008, It was scary. And I made a decision to go all in, and I hopped on a plane to Dallas, Texas. And I said, if this is where the asset managers are who give you assets, which at the time were bank-owned properties, then I need to go there. And I didn't know anyone, but I went to the room where the decision makers were. And I pulled up a chair to the table that I wasn't invited to. I opened the door that was closed and I knocked it down. I didn't have a key for it, but in other words, I was going to get in that room. And I was going to meet the right people who could help me or educate me. And I was willing to work for free for them so I could gain the experience that I needed so that I could survive in the market that we were living, because I refused to, go back to corporate America at that time. I was willing to burn the boats. I was willing to go all in. And I remember my husband said to me, if this doesn't work, we're going to have to talk when we get back, because I don't know if we can even afford to stay married, And at the time I had 5 kids. Now I had 5 kids. So I went from 2 kids to 5 kids because I married a man that had 3 children. And, it's part of the package deal. We were a blended family. So even more odds against us. Commission only. We were both in real estate. So it was like, oh my gosh. But that was the best decision I ever made. I was willing to go all in. When everyone else was running out the burning building, I was running into it. And I was willing to do whatever it took to learn the business, to get a mentor, to ask the right questions, to be in the rooms with opportunity, and to find the deals. And I don't call myself a professional real estate agent. I call myself a deal maker. I'm going to figure out how to make deals. I'm going to know how to identify opportunities and run with it and be in the room where there are opportunities. And that's how I built my business. I flew back home on Monday to 37 assets. And if you're in the real estate world, what that means is 37 listings. The only problem was that when I manifested, I'm your girl in Florida, I'm your Orlando girl. Well, to the asset manager sitting in the desk at Texas, to them, they have files. They don't know what zip codes where. They send me 37 assets all over the state. So overnight, I had to build teams in places I didn't even know existed in Florida. Wahitchika, Florida. I didn't even know where that was. I'm driving down to Miami and they were like, do you have people who work there? I was like, we're going to find them. You got a cousin? You got an uncle? You know somebody? There's plenty of bums on the street right now that'll take pictures for you, BPOs. So I started learning how to do everything I needed to do to scale prior to that opportunity. Then when I did get the opportunity, I built a team overnight with anybody with blood running through their veins. And that is how my story started on building teams, because out of radical necessity, I had to do it because I had a need to provide for my family. But also I was staying committed to what I had said, that I was going to be one of the most successful real estate agents, female successful real estate agents, that was going to change the game. And I stayed true to that. After the REO market, I became one of the most successful Central Florida REO agents, building teams all over. I started rubbing elbows with really, really important people. And one thing I learned was following my intuition and not waiting for the market to change. I started really being in tune, keeping my ear to the ground and understanding what's coming and identify where there were opportunities. And while everybody was chasing the REO game and I had gotten a piece of that, I realized people were neglecting the farming game. People were neglecting the traditional game. So what did I do? I opened a shop. I opened a storefront real estate office when everybody was trying to get out of leases, when everybody was trying to, keep expenses down and oh my gosh, that, you might have another risk. Why are you doing this? And I was like, I'm going to do what everyone else isn't doing. And I opened a boutique shop in a community that, I was raising my kids at, and I had to scale. I had to figure out, how can I maximize this? If I'm going to be at the baseball field, I want these people to know that I'm also the owner of the #1 boutique office in town. And, I'm just figuring out how to collaborate with parents, community leaders, business owners while running my business. And prospecting is the #1 thing that we teach real estate agents. So I would just prospect with decision makers. How can I connect with people who can give me multiple streams of opportunities and connect me with clients? So I became to call my clients that I would rub elbows with, my ambassadors. So how can I go find more ambassadors? Whether you were the chief of police, whether you were the mayor, whether you were the community developer, the business owner. And I would ask them, what can I do to grow your business? What can I do to grow your business, Mr. Pizza Maker? What can I do to grow your business, Mr. Ice Cream Shop where kids go with their parents, and you can become my raving fan and you can help me grow my business. So next thing you know, the community that once I thought was already taken over by an agent who had farmed for years, I said, well, she better move over because there's a new sheriff in town. I'm hungrier than her and I'm willing to outwork her. I know what she's not doing and I know what I'm willing to do, because real estate agents at the time were lazy, in my book. And you know what? Then I was at every pumpkin patch event. I was at every community event. And eventually it got to a point that I had to scale myself. And I just started teaching agents how to live in my world and duplicating my efforts. And I became the person that would seek out opportunities so that other people can also experience the fruits of our labor and connect with more clients and build wealth and not be dependent on, what the market says. We created our own market. Later on, I opened my franchise, my Remax franchise, had an amazing experience there. Had a great track record there. We broke pretty much every record, but we changed more people's lives. And I always would connect with small business owners, and I would use my marketing skills and things that I had learned along the way in business to share with them and grow their business. And I also say that, you haven't experienced success unless you've helped someone else become successful. And that's part of my mantra, is how many other people can I help become successful? So if you're starting your business or whatever you're looking to do to grow your business, just think about, who are you helping become successful? Not what they're doing for you, but what are you doing for them to grow? So had tremendous success in my community. I was considered a pillar in the community. There wasn't an event that people would throw without running it by me, because they knew I was, intense, that I would, sell tickets, that I would make sure that there was high attendance, because I was always passionate about helping other people. So ultimately, we became super successful, and very much like many of you guys here, I found a mentor. I just picked people's brains who were smarter than me. And when digital marketing and, I would say the industry in general, I would say our generation started changing how they started consuming products and convenience. And obviously we've seen the Ubers of the world and the Netflix of the world, right? It's kind of an old story now. Like people are using that too much of an analogy. But what I realized, I was like, so if I could do the same thing I did in my community and basically have that omnipresence that, when you walk into the nail salon, they're like, hey, you're that real estate girl. Or, hey, when I'd walk into the pizzeria, like, oh my God, it's like you're a celebrity in town, right? In your little community, you, as a real estate agent, you think that's the moment you made it. But I said, what if I can scale that and do that online? What if I could leverage what, these really smart tech people are doing and double down and triple down? Again, took my last $5,000 and went to the asset managers. This time around, I started saying, okay, I'm going to invest some of the money we're making, and I'm just going to triple double down on digital marketing. I'm going to triple double down with this big bad wolf called Zillow that at the time people didn't understand or like, and I didn't understand it either. First time I hired them, I fired them. But it was because I met someone who says, because you did it the wrong way. What if I could put you in the room with people who have had success with it? You've been rubbing elbows too long with the people who were the naysayers, but I'm gonna put you in the room with the people who've had success, because they were willing to listen, they were willing to learn, they were willing to adapt, they were willing to be curious with innovation. I said, sign me up. Here's my credit card. Don't tell my husband. Next thing you know, I just started taking that omnipresence from the hometown community field to a digital concept. And we now are the #1 real estate team in Central Florida. I sit on their advisory board. We have we'll sell probably $175 to $200 million in real estate this year. And I am proud to say I have a team of over 65 agents, and we'll probably be at 100 agents by next year. That's just my core team. I have about 1,000 partners across the country. We're getting ready to open up in some countries. And, this is just the beginning. We're having a lot of fun with it. I did sell my Remax franchise. I did sell my property management company, which, like I said, I was just 16 and pregnant. I never knew I was going to be willing and dealing some big deals. But I'm just excited to know that my journey has given me the opportunity to sit in the rooms with so many impressive people who were willing to take me under their wings, I was able to be honest and transparent. Just starting an investment firm now. My goals to probably have 15 to 20 doors before the end of next year. And, just blessed to know that real estate has been the biggest blessing other than my family. It's been an avenue for me to meet people, to help people, hopefully to empower women, to empower people who, come from a diverse background as well, that if I could do this, so can they. And I intend to use my voice as much as I can to help inspire more people to know that they can go after it. They can do anything that they put their mind to, if they're really, really clear and they really commit to this and are around some really awesome people. So, Mike, I hope I didn't go too much on a tangent, or Vlad. I mean, you tell me where you want this to go, but
No,
you started. You can't shut me up.
Veronica, this is really awesome, because one of the conversations that we have internally, that when we talk about freedom, we say that freedom ain't free, right?
Hey,
and
baby.
I think that everything that you said is like goes to that point, because it's like, look, your back was against the wall, right? Like $5,000, changing market, like all of that stuff. And then you took significant action in order to produce the results that you were committed to producing. And then in this conversation about freedom, one of the things that we forget, like, I think that when we talk about freedom, we often, like, when I say freedom, people think money. Okay. And look, money can actually buy you some freedom. Like, I get that. But one of the things that I'm noticing in this conversation with you specifically is like, you have this uncanny freedom to be and freedom to act. Like, you're just so true to who you are. And it's like this authenticity that just like spits out from the screen. So like, that's so cool. So
Yeah.
So that's just something that I noticed. So since we're talking about freedom, what does freedom, can I ask you a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what does freedom mean to Veronica?
I think freedom for me truly means living in your most authentic purpose and being fulfilled with what you're doing. Like, I wouldn't have this success if I didn't love what I was doing, if I genuinely didn't love what I was doing. So this doesn't feel like work. I built a life that I don't even want a vacation from. I love what I'm doing. Like, it's not work to me anymore, because what I've built has been something that I'm inspired to just get up every day and move the needle, make an impact, improve what business looks like, what real estate looks like, what entrepreneurship looks like, what women and motherhood can look like while you're still an entrepreneur. So freedom means the ability for me to do all the things that I love, and along the way bless other people and make some money. Like, I love the fact that I get, it's like, it's not even like what we were taught to do. Is we're taught to like work, have this job. And I'm like, I am so abundant. I receive all these blessings, financial blessings, because I just have created a life that I absolutely love. And my recommendation to everyone is like, whatever it is that you're doing, small business, real estate, whatever, if you're doing it, chasing the profit and only chasing the money, you're going to fail, because you need to make sure that you're chasing that fulfillment. The fulfillment part is the part that fuels me, and then the money and the financial freedom just follows, right? And I genuinely believe that for me, that's what it means. It was 2014. I was a successful real estate agent. I was living the rat race. I mean, the grind, selling 100 homes alone by myself. My team was also selling homes, and I was miserable because the way I was doing it, I was doing it the wrong way. And I remember 2014, I had taken a trip out to cabins, and I went with one of my good friends, and she's really into positive manifestation and just really getting clear. And we decided to do something different that year for New Year's, and just be in a cabin, be still with our thoughts and get clear. And she saw me so depressed because she just could sense that I wasn't happy. And she asked me, "What is it?" I said, "What if I could reimagine what this is supposed to look like? I don't feel it should be that rat race, that competition, that energy, that just, the grind of just chasing the transaction." She says, "Well, write it out. Write down what it is that you want to look, what you want it to look like. Write down everything that you want it to not look like. And then we're going to burn what is holding you down. And then we're just going to be grateful for what you already envisioned this new version of your life and business is going to look like. And I was like, okay. And it took years to finally find it, but I kept that piece of paper with me. I was like, this is what my future is going to look like, that I can collaborate with other people, that I can coach and train agents across the country, that I can, make 7 figures. Why do we have to stop at 6? I just said, like, I want to make 7 figures, and I give myself permission to say that. And that was a real big life-changing moment for me. I just decided to get clear and decided that I didn't have to do things the way the industry, had been shaping us to do it, where anyone who was my competitor was the enemy. Now I'm, those are the people I take to, out to coffee, out to dinner, and we're just sharing best practices. And it's just been such a blessing. And, the more I gave of my soul and my true purpose, the more money I made. That just happened organically. It really wasn't what I was looking for. But I think living in my true purpose was a defining moment of my career. And now what most people don't know is that I have a human resources background. I did end up going to college when I had babies on my hips, and I had a small career in human resources and development. So I've always loved helping people. I've always loved developing people. So when I was journaling that day, it was like, if there's a way that I can impact more people's lives while doing this and not chasing the lockbox. The lockbox is a byproduct of my skill set, but it's not the only thing I want to do. So today I'm writing a book called The Queen of Teams, the ultimate playbook on, some of the mistakes I made, some of the things that worked for me in my journey of how I built teams, and now the modern team, and just all the cool things that we're doing is just freedom to me, that I now have permission to do all the things I want to do without limitation.
Wow. I can't wait for that book to come out. I'd like to see just the mistakes that you made along the journey, because I know that that's one of the ways that we all learn, right? And so I want to shift the focus to the people. Something that you said was like I'm paraphrasing this, Veronica, is you like surrender to your purpose, and then things got opened up. You have a lot of people in your orbit, from your organization to your team to all the people that you know. Like, what would you say are some of the top mistakes that people make overall in their pursuit of freedom?
I think that I would say there's so many mistakes that people make, and I've made a lot of them. I think that if I were to say I learned my most valuable lesson as an entrepreneur and a business owner, was having the people on the wrong, in the wrong seats, or keeping them in the wrong seat too long can really be hard for your business. So some of the mistakes that I'll talk about my journey when I wrote the book, or when I talk to people, is like, I look back and I take responsibility for all the mistakes that happened in my business, because no one else is to blame for the mistakes that you make as a leader. So when I had people in the wrong position, or I didn't, address certain things, as you build a team and you build staff and you start, having people help you scale your business, you have to be clear and honest with yourself. If that person is not growing with you anymore, it's time to let them go. And I would lead with my heart, and I made some of my business decisions with my heart. Now I lean into those uncomfortable conversations, and I let people know, like, it is my duty to free their future up if it's not something that they're doing with passion and purpose. Very similar to what I did, because it caused friction. So I was really good at making that mistake. I made that mistake over and over and over again, which led to, just pain from my end and their end, and it wasn't worth it, because you do become family with some of these people. But then sometimes even family, we have problems with family, right? I think anyone who's in business and is not being honest with themselves is they're doing themselves a disservice. My number one mistake as an entrepreneur was exactly that. When we were growing and our mission was growing and there were people who were not aligned with it, I needed to give them an opportunity to get off the bus rather than keep them on. And then it just turned into a nightmare. But that happens with entrepreneurship, right? You learn along the way. You're building this plane, right? You're building the plane while you're flying it, right? And that's something that I did. And I needed to give some people some parachutes and throw them off, but I didn't. And they almost crashed the plane over and over again, but that's okay. And what I did is I just learned from it. I was like, what could I have done better as an owner? What was the number? What was the thing I could have done differently? And where could I have improved? And today I can look back and say, I learned so many valuable lessons, and I'm so grateful for the people who, were part of that chapter, but they're no longer part of the future journey. So yeah, that's my number one mistake, at least that I made. And now I just hire smarter people who are smarter than me, people who can help me execute on things. And I think another mistake that I made is that I tried to execute on a lot of things and nothing got executed. That was early on in my career. So anyone who's in real estate probably can relate to this. We chased every shiny object because let's say Mike was doing it. I needed to do what Mike was doing, but that wasn't part of my journey. And that cost me a lot of money. So I made a lot of mistakes. So now I just focus on implementing, maybe one thing per quarter. The best book I ever read was Rocket Fuel. When you're leading a team of, 65 agents and also scaling a modern team, you have to figure out, if you're the visionary, obviously who's going to be the integrator, who's going to be the person to implement this? Because us visionaries, we can go off squirrel on a tangent, right? And you need someone reeling you in. But then I've also realized that integrator or that, person who was in my world, my operator struggled with me because they didn't know where my brain was going. And because I'm that person who's always creating opportunity, they'd be like, that can't be done. I was like, say who? No. It's not, it can't be done. It's how do we do it? We're going to figure out how to do it. So that's definitely one of my recommendations when it comes to a book, Rocket Fuel. If you're building a business and you have a team, you definitely need to get that book. Read it and it'll change your life. It'll change your business.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the great ones. So Veronica, as we wrap up, like what advice do you have to our viewers, listeners, those that are there now, those that will watch the reruns, like as they're on their way to building on their freedom journey?
You have to burn the boats. Obviously, that's a really great story in business. When you make this decision, you have to burn the boats. And if you don't know what that story is, Google it, you'll understand it. But many of us in business know what that means. You're going all in. Like you cannot waver. And just because something, happens, that's a roadblock, you have to surrender to this journey all in and just say, look, what happens, happens. But I'm burning the boats. Either we're coming out alive and we're leaving on their boats, but we are not turning back. Do not turn back. If you're building something that you're passionate about, you have to go all in. And sometimes all in means those sleepless nights. Sometimes all in means working overtime for your dream. But like Vlad said, freedom is not free. It takes time. But if you put in the time, you're going to look back a year, 2, 3 years, like, can you believe what we've accomplished? Can you believe that idea, that concept was birthed, that it came to life? And, yeah, sometimes you are going to play the janitor, the cashier, every single role. But as you start with the end in mind, dream big, but just go all in, because I don't know how to operate any other way. There's no half-ass for me. I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to say that, but it's just true. It's just like, I just can't seem to wrap my head around over just putting my toe in. I got to go all in. So my thing is just go all in. If you're going to do this, find the right mentors, be willing to learn from people who have, lived before you and who can guide you. And, freedom isn't free and it ain't cheap either. It's not cheap either. You're going to make some investments, but if you stick to it, it's going to be worth your time.
Well, Veronica, thank you would be an understatement. I saw some some posts in the chat that I'll just summarize as your energy is infectious.
Oh, thank you.
Like, not only are you sharing this with like what you just shared with us, you're living it, and you're a clear example of that. Like, look, anything is possible that you put your mind to. And going from, having your back against the wall with the last $5,000 investment into an REO business to now, somebody who rules the world, essentially. And there are people on this call or people who are watching or who want to be like you and have the things that you have. And I would invite everybody to say, like, how do I have the mindset that Veronica has? Because that's what's made it possible. And so, like, thank you for your contribution to us. I know you made a contribution to me. Yeah. Mike, how can our viewers learn more about Veronica and find her online?
Well, Veronica, if you just want to share your information, that would be wonderful. I know you're primarily in the Orlando market, and yet, what do you want to share for a minute or two for a plug here?
Yeah, you could always reach out to me. We're on IG, Veronica Figueroa Inspires, or you can go to veronicainspires.com and you can always hop on, you find my stuff there. You can watch, podcasts, everything on there. It's been a lot of fun to, again, share with others our journey. And if you ever need anything, I'm your girl in Orlando.
Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica.
Bye, guys.